what if the most important battles of World War II weren't fought in daylight, but in whispers, on stairwells, in farm fields, and over radios hidden in suitcases? This is the invisible front, the clandestine war that bent rail lines, stole secrets, and turned occupied people into a weapon. Summer 1940. Europe is falling like a line of dominoes before the Nazi war machine. But Winston Churchill refuses to fight a conventional war he's losing. He creates a new kind of army, the Special Operations Executive, or SOE, with a single, brutal mission: set Europe ablaze. Soon, across the Atlantic, the US follows suit, forming the Office of Strategic Services, the OSS, under the command of the legendary Wild Bill Donovan. Their battlefield? The enemy's own backyard. So how do you build an invisible army? You don't look for soldiers. You find ordinary people with extraordinary nerve. Linguists, electricians, mountaineers, printers. You teach them the dark arts of tradecraft, how to vanish in a crowd, pass a message without a name, and how to destroy a bridge with a single stick of plastic explosive. The tools of this war weren't tanks. They were marvels of lethal ingenuity. Agents carried one-time pads for ciphers no one could break, and maps printed on silk so they wouldn't rustle during a search. Sten guns that vanished under a coat. Suitcase radios that could be broadcasting 1 minute and gone the next. SOE's gadget makers dreamed up magnetic limpet mines for ships, and even coal packed with explosives. And the OSS published a masterpiece of passive aggression, the Simple Sabotage Field Manual, teaching civilians how to jam the war machine simply by misfiling paperwork or accidentally breaking tools. The lifeline to these hidden armies was a thread in the dark. At night, small Lysander aircraft, capable of landing on a postage stamp, would hop in and out of moonlit fields, ghosts in the sky. More often, the lifeline came from above, parachutes drifting down with crates of radios, money, and explosives. And the signal to act? It could be a quiet, nonsensical phrase broadcast over the BBC to the entire world. A phrase like, "Jean has a long mustache," meaningless to millions, but a call to arms for a chosen few. And so, across Europe, the resistance takes shape.
In the forests and mountains of France, the Maquis formed guerrilla bands. But this is far more than just sabotage. In Poland, the underground builds an entire secret state, complete with its own printing presses, clandestine schools, and a network of couriers. They report on German troop movements and, astonishingly, even smuggle intelligence out of the Auschwitz concentration camp. In Denmark, the resistance organizes a breathtaking naval operation, ferrying thousands of its Jewish citizens to safety in Sweden, right under the noses of the occupiers. In Yugoslavia, Tito's partisans become so effective, they tie down entire German divisions that could have been fighting elsewhere. In Norway, a team of SOE-trained commandos on skis carry out one of the most vital missions of the war, Operation Gunner's Side. They infiltrate a heavily guarded facility and destroy the Nazi supply of heavy water, crippling their atomic bomb program. These aren't just isolated sparks, they are a continent-wide fire. They aren't one movement, but many, from communists to monarchists, all linked by crackling radios, silk parachutes, and a fragile, essential trust. And the people fighting this war were a new kind of soldier. Women, once relegated to the sidelines, became some of its most legendary figures. Women like Virginia Hall, an American with a prosthetic leg who the Gestapo called the most dangerous of all Allied spies. Or Noor Inayat Khan, a wireless operator who transmitted vital messages from Paris until her capture and execution. They were couriers, organizers, and assassins. But the risks were astronomical. The German counterintelligence was ruthless. A single mistake, a single betrayal could unravel an entire network. Captured agents faced torture and execution, forfeiting the protections of a soldier in uniform. Yet they persisted, driven by a conviction that this was a war that had to be fought, street by street, whisper by whisper. Their actions raised profound questions. International law was murky on sabotage and espionage. These operatives were often denied prisoner of war status, blurring the lines of conventional warfare and setting precedents that would shape the shadowy conflicts of the future. When the war ended, the overt armies went home, but the covert ones never truly disbanded. The OSS, for example, became the blueprint for the modern CIA. The secret war taught a lasting lesson, that history isn't only written by generals with maps, but by the unseen and the unheard, fighting on the invisible front.
Every transmission is a race. In occupied Europe, German radio direction vans hunt for ghosts, ready to triangulate a signal in minutes, so the operators send short, fast bursts of Morse code. Then they pack up and they move. Again and again. It's a life lived on a razor's edge. Some names from the shadow world become legend. Noor Inayat Khan, a radio operator in Paris, holding the line under crushing pressure. Nancy Wake, the White Mouse, so slippery the Gestapo could never catch her. And Witold Pilecki, the Polish officer who volunteered to be arrested and sent to Auschwitz, just to report on its horrors from the inside. These weren't isolated acts of courage. They were part of a coordinated war in the shadows, with missions that bent the main conflict. In Norway, 1943, commandos on skis glide into the Vimork heavy water plant and sabotage Germany's nuclear program, slowing Nazi atomic inventions to a crawl. In Prague, 1942, 2 Czech agents trained in Britain strike Reinhard Heydrich, one of the architects of the Holocaust. The Nazi reprisals are brutal, a massacre, but the message is sent across Europe. No one is untouchable. In France, as D-Day nears, a full-scale rail war erupts. Resistance cells, armed and trained by Allied teams, drop bridges, spike railway switches, and fell trees to block roads. They are creating chaos, meticulously planned to slow German reinforcements heading for the Normandy beaches. And far away in the jungles of Burma, American OSS Detachment 101 partners with Kachin guerrillas to sabotage Japanese supply lines and rescue downed airmen.
But sabotage is clean on a chalkboard and messy in a village. When you blow a bridge to slow a German convoy, you have to face the reprisals that will inevitably fall on the nearest town. Leaders in the field and in London constantly weighed action against consequence. Sometimes they got it wrong. The Prosper network in France grew too fast, became complacent, and was ruthlessly crushed. The Vercors uprising was a tragedy, smashed when Allied support lagged behind promises. In the Netherlands, a railway strike designed to choke German logistics backfired, contributing to the horrific hunger winter that starved civilians. This clandestine war was fought with moral weight as much as it was with explosives and guns. When Allied troops finally hit the beaches in Normandy, years of this hidden work paid off. Resistance cells delivered maps of German defenses, photos of the beaches, vital intelligence on enemy troop strength, and provided local guides to navigate the terrain. Every act of sabotage multiplied the effect of every Allied division, tying down German forces who could have been at the coast. After the victory, the organizations behind this war vanished. Britain's SOE was disbanded, its people and methods quietly absorbed into the secret services. America's OSS was dissolved only to be reborn in spirit as the CIA in 1947. The Jedburgh concept, small teams of elite soldiers enabling local fighters, became the core doctrine of modern special forces. The radios got smaller.
The satellites appeared, but the playbook remains. So what does this clandestine war teach us? 3 things. First, that information wins wars. Knowing precisely which bridge to drop at which hour will always beat brute force. Second, that partnership beats occupation. Outsiders can deliver the tools and the training, but it's the locals who fight for what survives. And third, courage scales. A few determined people linked to a supportive community really can jam the gears of an empire. By day, the world remembers the tanks, the battleships, and the great armies. But by night, people no one ever clapped for, whose names were never meant to be known, cleared the path. The clandestine war didn't just help win World War II. It invented the modern playbook for intelligence, special operations, and resistance. If you want more hidden history explainers, subscribe and tell me which operation you want to hear about next.